Good evening, everybody. Welcome to From Concept to Catwalk, elevating fashion design with TextileCloud and CLO3D. I'm Alexis Liu, Head of International Business Growth at Frontier. And today we're super excited to explore how digital product creation, or DPC, is revolutionizing the fashion industry, transforming ideas into tangible realities. Before we dive into the heart of today's topic, let's meet our experts. James Costa brings a wealth of knowledge in go-to-market strategies and digital transformation in fashion. Hi, James. How's it going?
It's going well. Appreciate that. Looking forward to going through this today. Appreciate the opportunity to share knowledge and experience. So thank you.
Thanks, James. And we also have Kevin Chiao, with his background in 3D design at adidas. So he's going to offer practical insights into the integration of technology in fashion design. Hi, Kevin. Really happy that you're here with us today. How are you?
Hi everyone, thanks for having me here. I'm happy to join.
Thank you, Kevin. And I'm Alexis. My background is 20 odd years of business development, sales and marketing, and I will be moderating today's session. Okay, let's have a look at the agenda. So today we're going to embark on a digital journey through the evolving landscape of fashion technology. First up, we will delve into an overview of DPC in fashion, where we will explore the role of digital innovation, the background and rise of DPC, and we're going to take a look at some of the major challenges that fashion designers and brands face day to day. Following that, we will introduce you to the world of fabric digitization. So this segment will provide insights into how modern technologies are transforming traditional fabrics into dynamic digital assets. And then we're very excited for this part. We're going to hand over to Kevin, and he's going to present a demo with TextileCloud's digital fabrics in CLO3D. So this will be a practical demonstration where you will get to see firsthand how digital fabrics are made and how they can be then manipulated and visualized within CLO3D. Now, our commitment goes way beyond technology. It also extends to supporting the design community as a whole. So here we will discuss the initiatives aimed at fostering growth and innovation among designers, and we'll show you how you can become a part of this exciting future. We'll then open the floor for a Q&A session. So you're encouraged to ask questions, seek clarification, and engage directly with our speakers. And finally, we're going to wrap things up with some closing remarks to summarize the session and outline the next steps for those who are interested in adopting these technologies. So without further ado, very happy that you've joined with us today. We're looking forward to an engaging session. Let's get started. I'm going to hand it over to James now. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexis. So now, as we step really into the realm of digital product creation, or DPC as we all know it, we're going to explore its transformative impact really on fashion and fashion design. So DPC really merges innovative digital tools with really traditional design processes, all the while streamlining both production and really fostering creativity. So today's discourse is really going to unravel how DPC not is just a trend, but really more of a substantial paradigm shift, if you will, towards a more sustainable, efficient, and even personalized fashion industry. However, first, let's align on what we mean when we all say digital product creation, right? Essentially, it's the process of transforming either a physical product or a concept thereof into its digital twin or counterpart. Now let's take a look at DPC and really explore the pivotal role of digital technologies, particularly that of 3D design, right? That's really what touches most of what we consider DPC. And that's really revolutionized the way fashion has been conceived, created, and consumed from the late 1980s to the present day. So understanding really where we came from and kind of where we're going should help us understand the importance of it all. right? So if we start in the late 80s, that was really a pivotal era of computer-aided design. We called that CAD, right? The first CAD systems that were really adopted in fashion. What these did was they really transitioned our industry from what was considered a very manual kind of sketching environment into digital environments. What this did was primarily enhance things like pattern making, editing processes, et cetera. And then as we moved into the late 90s and early 2000s, this is when we saw the introduction of specialized 3D design softwares like Browseware, like Optitext, like CLO3D. They really began to emerge. And the interesting thing was these tools now allow designers to not only create, but also simulate and visualize garments in 3D. And this offered really digital prototyping in a way that had never been offered before. And this was all before real fabric was even cut into, right? And then when you got into the 2000s, the technology really started to advance by leaps and bounds, right? Enhanced computational power, sophisticated software algorithms really enabled designers to achieve super highly realistic 3D models. We're really making these garments look realistic, and these models were increasingly used in design and prototyping. However, what we saw happen was it started to influence both marketing and sales strategies through things like digital showcases, right? So by the time you hit the 2010s, the industry started to recognize something really, really profound. It started to recognize sustainability benefits of 3D design. So 3D modeling really significantly reduced the need for physical samples, which cut down on waste, and then in turn really minimized the carbon footprint associated with that traditional production and sampling process. So entering into the late 2010s and early 2020s, the technology at this point was really paved the way for greater customization. Direct consumer interaction started to become paramount because this digital ecosystem and these digital tools were really giving consumers a lot more power. They could tailor their clothing choices in ways that they couldn't before, right? Selecting colors, selecting patterns, designs, really enhancing personalization and customer satisfaction. And then today, we're even witnessing another evolution, right? With the introduction of AI. So artificial intelligence combined with 3D tools, it's really revolutionizing how trends are predicted, how designs are refined, and even how supply chains are managed. AI not only streamlines the processes, but it also predicts consumer preferences in ways that it didn't before, ensuring that production really aligns closely with demand. Now, today, things look much different, right? The landscape is rich with innovators and game changers. On the screen, you can see logos representing what I like to refer to as kind of the leading edge of the blade of DPC. Each logo is not just a brand, okay, but rather a gateway to new possibilities in fashion design and production, because everyone's kind of tackling slightly different parts of the equation, even though it overlaps in terms of the general purpose of what we're trying to do. Everyone kind of brings something unique to the table. Each of these platforms, while it's powerful on its own, often integrates with other systems to provide a comprehensive suite of tools that really streamline and enhance the DPC workflow. So as we navigate this landscape, we're not just looking at individual technologies here, but really a collaborative network that's transforming fashion from the drawing board to the digital domain, right? It's a very thrilling time for all of us, me personally as well, to be part of not just this evolution, but really the revolution that's going on now. So why is this all important, right? Like, why is this important to someone like me and Kevin and other designers and brands? What are some of the challenges that we're facing that DPC can really address in this dynamic market? We're going to run through a few of them, right? Like first and foremost, you do have the rapid technological evolution, right? Staying updated with all of this fast evolving digital tools and systems and trends is really crucial for all of us to stay competitive. And look, just keeping up with the trends alone is enough. Now you're going to couple that with technology, and it's mind-blowing how challenging it can become. Okay. Also, you've got things like sustainability and ethics, right? So really balancing sustainable, ethical production with, of course, profitability and growing consumer demand is complex, and that's really putting it nicely. So in addition to that, you've got things like digital transformative costs. So the investment in these tools and the training can be just daunting, especially for smaller brands, right? That's really where you feel the pain. It poses a challenge because you've got to balance costs with really expected benefits here. And then let's talk about expectations, right? You've got expectations on the consumer side for personalization. They're increasingly wanting things to be extremely personalized and customized. This requires not only really sophisticated analytics, also really flexible production systems. And then the other thing that's massive, and this is for brands both small and large, that's really the bridging that skills gap. You start introducing all of these new technologies and the industry starts to face a massive skills gap. So a lot of large companies now are needing to hire into these positions with talented individuals that might be proficient in both traditional and now the new digital skills, right? So that's a massive challenge, and it really doesn't matter what size your company is. Everyone is starting to face that today, especially with the introduction of all of these new technologies almost at the same time. Even though they've been around for a long time, it's really in the past 5 years starting to become an issue. Couple that with changing consumer behaviors, right? Adapting rapidly to shifting consumer preferences. This requires both agility and innovation, right? Addressing these challenges really necessitates a strategic approach, right? You've got to focus on the innovation. You've got to focus on sustainable practice. You've got to have skills development, and you've got to adapt to the consumer expectations. Success really in this evolving landscape really hinges on the ability to navigate, as I mentioned before, with both agility and some foresight. So therefore, obviously, DPC then becomes super crucial, right, to our industry in a variety of ways, right? Let's start with just the design and the prototyping that I mentioned, right? So the DPC obviously enables designers to utilize the 3D models to visualize, to tweak the garments all in a virtual environment. What does this mean? This means that we are now relying less and less on physical samples. That's going to speed up the development process. That's going to reduce the costs, right? Imagine changing fabric types, garment colors, textures, all within a single click of a button and seeing those changes happen in real time. That is profound. That was a profound effect specifically on myself, and I'm sure Kevin, on how we actually executed creating samples, creating collections, and then you scale that up to the larger brands. This begins to have a profound effect on the bottom line. And then if we move into production, right, it really integrates seamlessly with a lot of advanced manufacturing technologies. It transforms traditional cutting and sewing operations by automating, pattern making and grading. This not only ensures precision, obviously, right, but this maximizes fabric utilization, which drastically reduces waste. And at the end of the day, our industry, that's the biggest problem. We're one of the most profound contributors of environmental waste when it comes to things like fabrics and poly and things like that. So that's a big effect. That's a huge positive. And then we're going to talk more about kind of reducing that waste. It's got a significant impact on sustainability as a whole, right? Minimizing the need for those samples, as I mentioned. We see the substantial decrease in that material waste, and obviously reducing the carbon footprint is then associated. And we're not just talking about really production and logistics anymore. We're not talking about sustainable design practices, right? So it's a total package here that DPC really contributes to. And this shift is really crucial for our space as we move towards a sustainable future together. And then in terms of marketing, right? It's revolutionized the way that our consumers are reacting with our products. We've got things like virtual showrooms now, augmented reality fitting apps. This allows customers to preview and even try on clothes virtually. That not only enhances the shopping experience, but it also caters to that growing demand that we talked about before for personalized and interactive shopping solutions. So as we can see, right, DPC is not just about adopting a few new technologies. It's about really transforming the very fabric, pardon the pun, of how we design, produce, and even market fashion. It's exciting to think about what's coming next, right? Like what new innovations will push the boundaries of what's possible in our industry. And speaking of innovation, let's take a look at a crucial part of DPC, and that is fabric digitization, okay? And fabric digitization is really revolutionizing the industry today. It's changing the way that both designers and brands and even mills and suppliers work with textiles, right? This involves creating digital simulations really of fabrics that closely mimic the physical counterparts, right? It signifies a major shift towards the more efficient, creative, and even sustainable fashion design, and even production practices. And we're seeing a growing adoption here, and it's expected to really kind of redefine our industry standards, and really, I guess, emphasizing, a need for digital proficiency, for lack of a better term, in this new landscape. But why is it really important to the DPC process specifically? And the answer to that is because it's foundational. Like in DPC, fabric digitization is foundational. It's very tough to create an actual garment that looks realistic without first digitizing the fabric, right? And what we're going to look at right now, we're going to compare how it was done in terms of the traditional digitization process. And then we're going to look and compare that and contrast that to the TextileCloud technology that I'm going to introduce to you. Now, traditionally, fabric digitization is really a multi-step, labor-intensive process. It starts typically with a very high-cost hardware that captures images of the fabric. And then we move to an additional software to create detailed maps that replicate the fabric's texture and appearance. Physical properties, this is always blew my mind. Physical properties are then literally measured by hand, right? Stretch, drape, a multitude of points. And that meticulous task can really take like 90 minutes sometimes per fabric. That to me is just mind-blowing. How in the world could that process actually scale, right? The only way to do that is really buy more machines, spend more money, and hire more people. Now let's in turn contrast that and turn our attention to TextileCloud, which is an AI-powered platform, and it's really revolutionizing the way that we digitize fabrics today. It eliminates the need for the expensive hardware that I just mentioned and any additional software, and it's automating the entire process. Now, in just 3 to 5 minutes, it generates the files that are fully compatible with, the industry-leading softwares that I mentioned before, like CLO and Browseware. The fabric texture maps and the physical properties are processed by AI with both speed and precision. And this bypasses that traditional need for manual measurements, right? No more 90-minute processes. If you're doing that, you definitely need to pay attention to what I'm introducing to you, because it's going to change your business and it's going to make it highly efficient, because it not only accelerates the workflow, what we're really essentially saying is we're democratizing the fabric digitization process with Frontier, right? We're making it accessible to designers. It doesn't have to be enterprise companies anymore. It's an individual designer that just has a scanner in his office. That's really what we're saying here. And the comparison here really highlights the dramatic shift in the industry from a manual, time-consuming process to a more efficient AI-driven solution that is TextileCloud. And that represents really where our industry is headed. And it enables designers really to bring their creations to life faster and with greater accuracy and greater ease. And here's what I want to say. Just imagine what can be achieved when the time and the resources saved are redirected to actual innovation and actual creativity. If you are a big company and you are spending 90 minutes per fabric, think to yourself, what could we use those 90 minutes to better do, right? Ask yourself that question. How would this change my approach to design and or production? And I guess this sounds like a great cue to introduce TextileCloud in a little bit more depth. So first, I should mention that it is a platform that serves, as you can see on the screen, both mills and suppliers on one side and brands and designers on the other. It serves as a sourcing hub that brings them together, and even a business development opportunity. So brands and mills are both digitizing fabrics using TextileCloud's AI, right? And they're doing this at scale. This is creating valuable digital assets for use in DPC, but at the same time, both are creating public and private libraries. And that's important because we can all access those if we decide to make any assets public. Then individuals can utilize those for DPC, and that becomes the sourcing opportunity to bring brands and mills together. I've utilized this myself. I can attest to it. But it also serves as a digital asset management tool. So those libraries are actually managing your materials inside the system. So you're creating and managing the data. You can understand your fabrics within a workflow type environment. And it even allows you to communicate with suppliers or brands, depending on which side you're on. I don't think I need to go much further in terms of painting the picture of value that TextileCloud provides, but rather now let's take a look at how it actually works. Because I talked a lot about value. Let's dig into what's going on here. First, you've got your starting point. At home, at office scanner, right? This is where the journey of the fabric really begins to transition from that physical form into the digital asset. You take a high resolution scan and that captures the texture, that captures the color, that captures in the intricacies in terms of the details of the textile. And then after the scan, we're going to put it into TextileCloud's platform, and using a sophisticated algorithm, this is really where the magic per se starts to happen, because within 3 to 5 minutes, our software analyzes and processes that scanned fabric, and it creates a set of detailed maps. And these aren't just static images. This is really like a comprehensive digital maps, if you will, capturing the essence of really the physical appearance of the fabric. And these maps include base maps, displacement maps, roughness maps, normal maps, etc. Kevin's actually going to walk through these in detail in just a little bit. And he's going to kind of show you even how not having it versus having it affects the look of the fabric and the garment inside of the software. So that aha moment is going to be like, okay, I understand these maps and why they're important and why it's, crucially important to create them in 3 to 5 minutes as opposed to 90 minutes. And then finally, you're taking that digitized fabric and it's really ready to enter center stage in the world of 3D software, whether that's CLO or Browseware or Style3D. This is where the designer like me, like Kevin, this is where we're really draping the garments and tailoring the garments and creating this on digital mannequins, which we call avatars. But we're doing this really with unparalleled accuracy. It's crazy. I can't even imagine going back to the way that I used to do this. And the result, as you can see on the far right-hand side, you get this virtually indistinguishable from physical garment look that's created in this process, and that is DPC, right? We're creating these digital products, and we're doing that really with 3D high fidelity models. And we're doing that really not just to service the design and development process, but really for a variety of applications, things like online showrooms, e-commerce, and even streamlining your product lifecycle management, right? You can put these in your PLM systems as well. And then in essence, each digital asset becomes a versatile tool, not just in the hands of the designers, but also the marketers and even the consumers alike. So now that brings me to Kevin. I'm going to hand it off to you, Kevin, to give us a brief introduction and kind of walk through and demo of how you're going to take all of what I just said from TextileCloud and put it into CLO3D. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, sure. Yes. And below, let me introduce you a little bit more about CLO3D. So imagine you're a fashion designer with a vision in your mind, and you want to bring it to life with whistling with yards of fabric and endless sketches. And this is where CLO3D steps in. So CLO is like a magic for designer. It lets you create stunning 3D outfits without physical material. And whether you're designing high-end fashion or casual wear, you can experiment with different fabric, different pattern, and different colorway until your design match your imagination. So with this tool, you can skip the hassle of traditional prototyping and dive into the digital world. So it's like you're having a virtual fitting room where you can tweak every detail until your creation fits your goal. And beside that, you can visualize how your design will drape, and how it will move in real life. So it's giving you an extra layer of storytelling and bring your idea to life. So if you want to revolutionize your design process and unleash your creativity, then CLO is a tool. And I believe browser and Style3D do pretty much the same thing. So as long as you find a software that suits you the best, you can just kickstart your digital journey. And below, I'm going to demonstrate how we can utilize Frontier.cool digital fabric within CLO and watch how we can easily drag and drop this fabric into our design and revolutionize the creative process. So here, let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Can everyone see my screen now?
Yep,
Yes,
fire
Kevin,
away.
I can see it.
Okay. So first, let's log into Frontier. In Frontier, you can see that when I hover over the thumbnail, it shows me the fabric detail. And moreover, from the thumbnail, from the fold of the thumbnail, you can roughly perceive the characteristic of the fabric. So for example, the thicker fabric shows stiffer contour and vice versa. And let's click into the fabric. And within the 3D viewer is where you can faster visualize the simulation of the fabric, giving you a more detail of the fabric. From the download icon here, we have 3 file formats. So since today's presentation focuses on the workflow with CLO, we will download GLTF format for use. And if you're a browser user or you're using Style3D, you can download U3M format to be compatible with your digital process. And now I will just download all the fabric that I'm going to use later in my design. So it's a quite repeating process. Just click into the fabric and click download, choose the file format that is compatible with your 3D software. And again, I will choose GLTF to using CLO. Then now back to CLO, you can see that I have completed design. And now we can easily and quickly apply the material to the garment through simple drag and drop. So I will show you 2 methods. The first one is to drag into the 2D pattern window. And for this way, you have to choose what you want to import your file as. So here in the object type, please select the fabric. Then click OK. You can see that the fabric now is appearing in the object browser in the fabric sessions. So the second method is to drag and drop directly into the fabric sessions. And with this way, you no need to select again, you want to import it as which file. And you can multi-select the file and drag it at once. So now once we have all the fabric in here, we can apply now to the pattern, to the garment. And that's it. So this integration isn't just about the ease of use. It enhances the creativity and streamline design process and allow for rapid creation. And next, let's explore why the texture map and physical property matter and how they change the design landscape. So first, let's click on the fabric. And below property editor, you can see different images and their names. These are what we call the texture maps. So let me give a brief overview of digital fabric compositions. So digital fabric composed in two main parts, visual and physical property. Visual property provide information about fabric appearance, such as color, pattern, weaving structures, and reflectivity. And so physical property, on the other hand, it provides information like drape, sketchability, and thickness. So Frontier AI perfectly provide both solutions in just short 3 minutes. So it's a groundbreaking process because traditionally it would take nearly an hour or even longer to manually test a single fabric sample. So now let's go back to discussing the layer one by one and explain their functions. First one, we have the base map. So the base map corresponding to the appearance of the fabric as seen by eye, which is quite understandable. And the second one here, we have normal map. And to better for your understanding, I will delete the texture map temporarily. So normal map provide fabric textures and making the surface not just a flat image by adding shadow to enhance its textures. So now you can see that when I bring the parameter up to 55, it shows you the texture caused by the shadow with utilizing the normal map. And then when I bring it to 0, it'll be back to flat surface again. Okay, and let's bring back the texture map, the base map. So the base map and normal map depict quite a lot of characteristic of the fabric, and it is the most important and most often used map in digitized fabric. Apart from this, we have roughness map to express the fabric reflective property. And sometimes dealing with special fabric, for instance, embossed execution or texture fabric like jacquard, we might use displacement map to show the effect, but it is not always necessary. Then as for physical property, Frontier utilize AI data to analyze and automatically generate corresponding physical attributes based on the weaving structures that's scanned by the printer. So here, when we turn on the simulation, we can see that the fabric, realistic draping, and movement.
Kevin, I have a question, maybe James as well, about these
Yes.
texture maps and these physical properties. How did designers deal with this before solutions like Frontier? How did you make these maps and how did you deal with the physical properties before this kind of technology, and how long did it used to take?
Yeah, so before Frontier, we have to use a visual scanner to get the texture layer from the fabric. And then for the physical property side, we'll have to manually cut the fabric and test it through cloud fabric kits. And then when I get all the data from the fabric kit, I'll have to input all the parameter manually to the software. And it takes nearly an hour or even more.
Wow.
Yeah, I was actually doing something a little different. I couldn't afford the expensive equipment. I was, using various softwares to get the maps and then using presets in Clo to get close enough, but that just wasn't accurate really enough at the end of the day. And that still took 25 to 30 minutes. So that, either way, this is definitely a game changer for me personally. And I'm sure for many out there. Sorry, Kevin, didn't mean to hand it back over.
It is.
Thank you.
Finally, when you happy with the draping, you can turn on the render to get a final image of your design. And that's it. So this concludes my demo for today, and I'll hand it back to Alexis. Thank you.
Thank you so
Right.
much, Kevin. Okay, that wonderful demonstration. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
this seems quite an appropriate moment to mention MetaFabric. So MetaFabric is a platform. It allows designers to access a digital library of fabrics that are compatible with industry standard software, like we've mentioned before, your CLO, your Browseware, etc. Which makes it even easier to bring your designs to life with that precision and creativity that we've mentioned. MetaFabric, it's a subscription service where each month MetaFabric will update its collection with 20 new digital fabrics, curated fabrics, each aligned with modern design themes. So these really empower both the fashion and 3D animation designers alike. And the best part about it, super cheap. It's only $39 a month. So whether you're looking to streamline your process or connect with suppliers all over the world efficiently, MetaFabric offers practical solutions in fabric digitization. Kevin, James, have you got anything to add about MetaFabric from a designer's perspective before we move on to the Q&A session?
You mentioned that it's a platform. I mean, it's a platform within Frontier's Textile Cloud. It's a
Correct.
tier of that solution. And that goes back to the democratization that we were talking about down to the individual designer. So that way our solution really scales from an emerging designer all the way through up to an enterprise company. And it starts with MetaFabric. So this was the solution I was referring to in terms of game changer for me. And I guess I can kind of end it there. Hand it back to you, Alexis, unless Kevin has anything else to add.
No, thanks.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to open the floor to your questions. We've had a few questions come through already. So Kevin and James are here to share their insights, their experiences on the technology, the process, and the impact that this tech is having on the industry. There are a couple of questions already. Do you think there are any drawbacks or limitations with integrating digital technologies into fashion design? Any limitations or
So
drawbacks?
as for the drawback and limitation, one irreplaceable aspect is the tactile sensation of physical fabric. So this can lead to the mistrust along those unfamiliar with digitizations. So in reality, when facing new product development, we still need to physically feel the textures of the fabric and invest time in building new models. But on the other hand, based on the past experience in the branding, a high proportion of product from each season come from reorder. This means that the best-selling item from previous season are redesigned and reintroduced to the market. And in these cases, the digitization process plays an important role in showing its value. Yeah, from my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And do we have any success stories or case studies?
Let me share a story. During my time in digital creation end-to-end department at Adidas, we had a project called Rapid Creation. So this project involved the design department utilizing the trend focus and market analysis from the data department to quickly develop products in response to market demands. And digital material plays a role in this process because maintaining tracking records of material is also a crucial part of digitizations. And this is because we need to take inventory and available colorway and other factors in consideration first in product development. So I think this is how digitized fabric help.
Thank you, Kevin. Do you or James have any predictions for the future?
predictions. I think this is just going to continue to evolve into really an interesting workflow that utilizes AI for more of the process, right? I think you're going to start seeing 3D design softwares. Actually, I take that back. They're already using AI, and we've just seen the introduction of things like AI generated prints and graphics. That's going to go further into actually model making, right? And simulation. So I think that's the future. I think AI gets more integrated. Kevin, I don't know if you have anything to add there as well.
Yeah, as you said, that technology is ever evolving. So I think let's be open-minded, be curious, and stay prepared for the new technology.
Alexis, we also have a few questions as well. There's one on how much to scan and upload fabrics into the workspace, and then scanner, brand, and model. I can answer that, and that's the $39 a month that was mentioned. That's the opening kind of tier for Frontier. That is our meta fabric tier that allows you to get in and start scanning fabrics into your workspace. And then for a particular brand and model, that's not as important as long as it scans at least 600 DPI, like that's the requirement. So really, any office or at-home scanner, which most at this point do, and even much higher they scan, then you'll be successful there. And then the other question was really how many vendors are currently contributing to MetaFabric or just Frontier as a whole, because it's all encompassing. We've got quite a few globally. Let me put it this way. I think there's almost 20,000 fabrics in Frontier currently that you can access. You can access 3D materials from most, and then you can just access, those fabrics and suppliers on the other end, right? So that's where it becomes that global sourcing hub, which is, once again, if you're an emerging designer, to be able to find a fabric, to then take that fabric, see how it looks in Clo, and then say, oh, this is great. You could turn around and order that fabric then from the supplier that originally supplied it. That's just cool, right? So it becomes much more than just a fabric digitization platform. And, because we know that there's others out there that's what they do. We have really taken that a step further and said, no, we're not ending it there. We're going to provide a lot more value to the young designers as well as the large brands.
Mm-hmm. I think there's something like it's either 60 or 80% of the manufacturers here in Taiwan that are they're already using Frontier. And you can imagine how big the textile scene is in Taiwan. It's what we do. So having the access, like you say, no more limitations, geographic restrictions, none of it. It's all there under one roof. It's wonderful for designers.
Yeah, it really is. It's like I keep saying game changing, and I have to stress that because as a designer that has seen, like when I got into the industry 25 years ago, we were using fax machines, right? We were hand sketching. Yeah, I'm not kidding, right? So to see the internet come along, that was a game changer, right? To see these CAD systems come along, that was a game changer. When Clo was introduced, I was like, I'm never going to be able to learn how to use that. This is going back. Fast forward, you can't pry my hands away from that software, right? It was a game changer. And now Frontier represents another of those game changers in our industry. And I'm just thankful to be a part of it. And I found it when I did. Sorry, Alexis, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I just want to wrap things up now and thank everyone for joining us today. So we've explored the exciting possibilities digital product creation and digital fabrics offer to the fashion industry. I do encourage you to visit Frontier.cool and explore the massive digital fabric library within TextileCloud that James and Kevin have already mentioned, and see for yourself how integrating these into your design process with CLO3D, Browseware, etc. can really elevate your designs, your design process. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to our speakers, James and Kevin, for your insights. super valuable. I'm sure the attendees have taken a lot from this session. I'm going to send out a recording of this webinar as well to everyone that's joined and those that couldn't make it. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for the questions and for your participation, attendees. And we look forward to seeing how you'll push the boundaries of fashion design with digital innovation. We've got a QR code here and some various contact details. If you want to grab a demo, sit down with James, one of the team members, to have an interactive demo and see for yourself how this works and how this is going to benefit you, give it a scan, book some time with James. We've got some email addresses there, the website, and social media links as well. So we hope to see you soon, keep in touch with you, and follow you on your journey. That's it from me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. It's been awesome.